before I introduce our guest for this evening and bring him on the line, I need to give you guys a bit of a backstory. We're going to be talking about the controversial truth about conversion hacking with my friend and colleague, Gavin Aberrantier. I don't even know how to say his last name, but that's okay. I have a lot of love for the man. So he's one of the head copywriters and marketers here at Mindvalley. And a little backstory on him is he actually was looking to become a lawyer. Then he started his own business. He's been in the internet marketing niche. He created his own products. He sold other people's products. He wrote copy for other people. And he is a genius when it comes to both the art of writing copy and marketing products. He's one of the lead advisors to Vision himself on how to position his personal products. He's actually been in Mindvalley for a very short time, but he's making big waves. He's making a lot of noise to make sure that we're scaling up the company, and he is an amazing person to be around. So without further ado, I'm really excited to present to you guys an amazing genius and my good friend Gavin on the call. Gavin, welcome to the Week of Insights.
Thank you for that introduction, Jason. Really happy to be here.
Cool. So as before we get started into the content, I want to give people maybe a bit of a background as to where you came from. And I know your background. You were a rock star guy in the online marketing space, yet here you are working for another company like Mindvalley. So I'd love to hear your story as to what brought you here.
Sure. So I guess it started in high school when I decided, I wanted to be rich, I wanted to be wealthy. And I thought the way I was going to do that, as you said, was by becoming a lawyer. I'd seen Boston Legal, saw a bunch of dudes drinking scotch, having a good time. And I thought that would just be, what I'd do. Of course, as I started going into law, I realized it was absolutely not what I wanted to do for various reasons, which we can discuss. And I was miserable. I was basically failing at it. And I had no option other than to start my own business. So while I was in law school, I started, playing around with online marketing, just dabbling here and there and trying to just throw myself into it because I really had no other option for starting a career or getting where I wanted to go. I read The 4-Hour Workweek and was, of course, very inspired by this idea of the lifestyle business. That's really what lured me into it. And yeah, I managed to start my own successful businesses, doing search engine marketing, doing copywriting, selling my own products via webinar, sales letters, the whole lot of it. Did that for a few years, actually. Quite a very long time. I was self-employed, but eventually I got to a place where I really wanted to scale up. I really wanted to grow as a person and grow as an entrepreneur. And I felt like there was something missing in my business. I felt like, yeah, okay, the cash is coming in. I get it. I understand how to make the sales, but something just didn't quite feel right. I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And so I started Googling around and I saw this video on YouTube, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. And it was called Happiness is the New Productivity by this guy called Vishen Lakhiani, who reminded me a lot of, a more successful version of myself. He'd created this amazing company. And what really struck me about Vishen in this talk was how much he loved what he was doing. He was succeeding online using all these direct response principles. But I mean, this guy was just telling it like it is. He was very ethical, very honest, and he really seemed to enjoy what he was doing. And this was in stark contrast to the sort of world I came from, which was the internet marketing niche, which, I mean, it has some good people in it, but, it can be a little bit of a negative sort of space to operate from. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, how basically I sabotaged a lot of my own success. And you'll see a lot of people who only focus on the internet marketing elements of business because we neglected to look at some of the more...
Could you start again, Gavin, when you just said when you neglected a certain part?
Sure, yeah. It was that we neglected certainly I neglected to really understand some of the long-term elements about fulfillment in what I was doing, about really expressing myself and being honest in about what I actually wanted to do. And so it can be very easy to look at a business opportunity and say, oh, this is a great opportunity. People are interested in traffic or people are interested in SEO or whatever it may be, and teach it. But if it's ultimately not what you're really passionate about, what you really love, even when the money comes in, I was surprised that it just wasn't enough. Yeah, and so I know you have some experience with that as well, right, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I came from kind of a similar background, and people were asking me the question when I did the first kickoff webinar. And if people were here on the advertising session, I was explaining how I went to this internet marketing conference a couple days ago, which was a seminar that was teaching you a system that you can drive people to their seminar, that if they buy, you make money by buying their program that teaches you how to just drive the people to the seminar who will buy it to make money by driving people to the seminar. It was just a pyramid.
Yeah.
And I was like, and all they were talking about is like how much money you can make. You can make money. It's easy. It's all done for you. And I was like, Oh my God, it's so dirty. I left there mucky and then just happy that I'm back here at my valley, to be
Oh,
honest.
absolutely, man, absolutely. And you kind of forget about it until you see it, and it's a very one-dimensional way of seeing things. And I'm certainly not judging, because I know a lot of people in Mind Valley were much more, spiritually mature than I was starting out, and they got it. They got it early on that it's more than just the cash. But for me, I thought that do no harm, make some money, and life will be fine. But there was some more to it, and actually, it was a presentation that you gave, Jason, that profoundly shifted my my worldview and my beliefs about success in business. And so thank you for that. And we're going to discuss it a little bit later in the presentation. And it was just completely rocked my world, and I'm going to be happy to be sharing it with you, with the guy who taught it to me, incidentally. So.
Well, thanks for the compliments. If you guys are wondering what talk that is, that's the talk about why selling is the greatest expression of love that was mailed to you if you're a subscriber to Insights, or if you're on the event page. We shared it a few times. All right, the floor is yours. I'll be muting my line.
Cool. So thank you very much again for attending this. I'm really excited to be teaching this to you. And so the first part of this presentation will be called The Science of Conversion. Okay. And the second part I'll leave as a surprise, but you'll have a lot of fun with it as well. So in a nutshell, I mean, we've only got about an hour, so I want to give you the 80-20 of copywriting. And if you're not familiar with the 80-20 law, it is, of course, that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your activity. Now, in copywriting, I know, when you start to get into the really, really, really deep stuff, it can get quite advanced and quite technical. But the truth is, the majority of your results and your success will come from actually quite a simple framework. And that's the framework and the process I'm going to teach you right now. So you'll be happy to know there are actually really 3 steps to making an effective sales presentation online. And the first one is know your customer. The second one is to find your customer. And the third one is to, of course, make your effective sales presentation. So I'm going to start with a quote that I think is really, really important. It had a profound impact on me, and it's from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by the late Stephen Covey. And that quote is, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Okay? Seek first to understand and then to be understood. And this is really, really, really important for all sorts of persuasive communication, especially copywriting. And another fantastic quote, which I think will really set the stage for what we're talking about, and that's from a guy called Epictetus, a very long time ago, said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Interesting. Interesting, right? So the first challenge that you have, and the biggest challenge you have by far in selling via media, selling via video, selling via website, selling online, is that you don't get to meet your customer and simply ask them what they're looking for, okay? The truth is, sales is pretty easy. If you've ever worked in any kind of retail sales gig or phone sales gig, in retail sales in particular, if you're in a store and someone walks in, all you really need to do is ask them, hi, how can I help you? What are you looking for? Really take the time to ask them what they want. Now, of course, when you're staring at a computer screen, we don't get the luxury of talking to our customer. So it's really, really important that we understand them well before we start writing, okay? So the first thing you absolutely have to do to become a master of conversions, the first thing that we always do at Mind Valley before we plan to do, huge launches, is to spend the time to deeply, deeply understand your customer, okay? You need to be able to describe your customer and your prospects' problems better than they can describe them themselves. You need to really, really get deep into that, because what we need to do is enter the conversation that is already happening in their mind to the extent at which it seems like you're almost reading their mind and you're like a psychic or something, all right? So it's that important. Now, how do you do this? How do you get so inside your customer's mind that you can describe their problems and know exactly what they're thinking and speak to them in that way? Well, first of all, I like to start by looking at products that are similar to what it is you intend to sell and are selling well. Look at their websites, look at the words they're using, look at what they're emphasizing. If this product has been around for a while and it's been selling well, chances are they'll have done some split tests, they'll have done some research, and it's selling well for a reason. So their messaging is correct. So jot this down and sort of understand, how other people are doing it. Next step, and this is especially true if you're selling a product that maybe doesn't have a lot of competitors that you can see, how they're referring to things, is to look in forums. Where do your customers hang out? What are they talking about? What are their problems? What are their issues? What's really on their mind? How can you tap into an existing conversation that's happening to your customers' minds? read their Facebook comments. If you have a Facebook fan page, or if there's a Facebook fan page that people in your market are part of, what are they talking about? What's interesting to them? The blog comments also. In a nutshell, do whatever it takes to get in touch with your customer and listen to them, okay? So another way you can do this if you have the opportunity, and I'd strongly recommend you make that opportunity, is to talk to someone face-to-face who represents your customer avatar, okay? So who are they? And get them on a phone. We will routinely call customers. We'll ask them what they like about the products, what they don't like about the products, what they're really looking for from us as a company, to really deeply understand how we can help them, and the language they use to do that. Okay, so these are the questions you absolutely have to answer before you start trying to sell anything. Okay, what problems do your customers believe they have? Okay, what do they think right now is their biggest problem? Why do they want these problems solved? What do they hope to achieve by solving these problems? What do they feel that they really need? What are they looking for? What do they want to achieve by solving these problems? And fundamentally, what emotions do they want to feel? Do they want to feel vindicated? Do they want to feel free? Do they want to feel abundant? Do they want to feel happy? Do they want to feel secure? Tap into and spend the time to understand what they want to feel, because it's really, really important. And the other big tip that we do, and I highly recommend you do as well, is not just understand their emotions in an abstract sense. What language are they using? What language are they using to describe their problems and their desires? Ask them, engage them, and they will tell you. They will literally tell you exactly what it is they need, and this will form the basis for your sales messaging. So, for example, as Jason said, I haven't been at Mindvalley for that long, and I came in and pretty quickly got thrown on doing a pretty high priority launch and a pretty large launch in a market that I'd never done any copywriting in before. In fact, it was very, very different from the market where I'd typically operated. And so I spent a lot of time understanding this market and understanding this customer and what they really wanted, our customer avatar. And I came to the conclusion, and I observed that the phrase that best described what they wanted was, "My greatest desire is to step fully into my purpose." Okay, so this was the language that people were consistently using. We saw this again and again on Facebook pages, people saying, you know what, I'm just feeling lost, and the thing that I really want is to step fully into my purpose, this phrase in particular. And so in this particular example also, because I was so new to this market, one of the staff members we have here is a wonderful person, and she's very involved in energy healing. And so I spent an hour with her at lunch talking to her, asking her these questions, which would get me into the headspace to really write this copy. And it got to the point where, when I was writing this copy and I'd show her, she'd say, "Wow, okay, you've hit it. This is giving me chills." That's how strong an emotional response you need to get from your prospect. Okay, and the good news is it doesn't come from inside your own head. It comes from taking the time to get inside and really deeply understand and know your customer. Okay. So next, once you've done that, once you've got that information, when you've jotted it all down, you need to find your customers, okay? Where are they? Now, it's a little bit of a controversy alert because this isn't something that gets discussed a lot, and it's a bit of a problem because it causes people to really bark up the wrong tree a lot of the time. And the truth is, and here's a quote that I think sums it up very nicely by one of the best copywriters of all time, "The only advantage I would ever ask for in copywriting is an audience that already wants what I'm selling." Okay, and this is by Gary Halbert. Now, a bit of backstory. Gary Halbert is one of my favorite copywriters because he wasn't just a copywriter for other people. He was a copywriter entrepreneur. And what Gary Halbert would do is he'd go to the direct mail lists and he'd look for groups of customers that he knew were very, very, very likely to buy. These were people who had just bought something in a market in a particular niche, whether it was, they just bought a set of golf clubs or a set of golf shoes or whatever it may be. And he would create something specifically for them and mail these to buyers. And he got extremely wealthy as a result of that. And of course, he sold people stuff that they actually wanted. He wasn't wasting time screwing around with trying to, persuade people and sell ice to Eskimos. Okay, now this phrase gets thrown around a lot, that someone could sell ice to Eskimos. Well, I'm here to tell you, you absolutely don't want to sell ice to Eskimos. Quite apart from the fact that it doesn't do any good for them. Let's face it, it's online marketing. They're going to refund anyway, right? So Don't bother selling ice to Eskimos. Find the audience that already wants what you're selling. Next quote that illustrates this really well by Gary Vaynerchuk, an extremely well-respected marketer and copywriter. The number one waste of time, says Gary, trying to convert your customer. And to expand on that, some more Gary goodness. This is the mistake that most people are making. They're wasting good time and energy trying to convert when they should be taking that same time and allocating it to reaching more people. Okay, this is from Gary Vaynerchuk, and we'll get you out a link to this particular blog post, but you can find it just by typing in Gary Vaynerchuk, stop trying to convert. But I hope you see the point I'm getting at. Direct response marketing, online marketing, and sales in general is not about shoving things down people's throats that they don't want. It's about finding people, understanding their needs, understanding how they describe their needs, and offering them a product or service that matches that. Okay, that's what we do. That's the secret. That creates low friction. That creates customers that love you. That turns you in from someone who's a salesperson to someone who is helping someone find a solution. And it is a big shift in understanding. And it takes a tremendous amount of pressure from the copy because, in a nutshell, your customer kind of already knows what they want. You just need to give them a good reason to buy. And I'm going to take you through a framework that'll do that in a way that is literally foolproof. Okay? Because the truth is, and like I said, I'm not, a lot of copywriters maybe don't want to admit this because we, historically like to charge big fees, but no matter how good you are at copywriting, strategy trumps copy. And this is by Jay Abraham, one of the most respected guys, business coaches in the world. Strategy trumps copy. What does this mean? It means that instead of trying to continuously tweak your conversion rates, on a sales letter to try and sell more to people that aren't interested, you should be spending the time. Yes, of course, you maximize your conversions, you get it as high as you can, but you can't neglect simply finding more people that are interested in what you want. Okay? Find your tribe, find your market. They're out there and they're waiting for you to provide them a message that they're actually actively looking for. Okay, we call this message to market match, and is the single most important determinant in the success of anything you sell. Now, maybe it's a little bit of a thing to expose, but the truth is, when we do launches, we do see different results, and quite wildly different results, depending on what we sell and how well it is targeted to our audience. Now, of course, we don't always just sell the same thing, but we will see much higher results, for example, selling a particular product to our market, if it's something that they already want versus something that is maybe not as known to them that they need. Now, of course, Mindvalley isn't a company that optimizes purely for money, so we do give people a wide range of products and services. But when you're starting out in particular, you don't have the luxury of just putting something out just because you think it's you feel like it. Ensure that you are serving the market and that your message to market match is correct. And there's some great articles on Mindvalley Insights about that. There's a phenomenal one that talk that Vishen gave called Levels of Market Sophistication, which I highly recommend. I think Jason absolutely loves it as well. And basically that teaches you to understand how to talk to your customer and how to talk to your market and how to position your product at the level that people need to make an informed buying decision. So what is strategy? Strategy also means getting tons of buyer traffic, okay? Now, the other controversial truth here is that conversion rates are a misunderstood concept because traffic and conversion are actually two sides of the same coin, all right? There is no such thing as an average conversion rate, so we can't get stuck in vanity metrics. I know it's often the case that, we'll talk about conversion rate, copywriters in particular, but the truth is there is no such thing as an average conversion rate, all right? You can't just say, okay, well, this sales page converts at 5%, therefore I'm going to buy all the traffic. You will have a conversion rate depending on the group of people that are seeing your offer, and that is really all you can hope for. So it comes down to, yes, maximizing conversion rate, but also maximizing the amount of people that actually see your offer as well. Yeah, because otherwise, if you just had, say, okay, cool, I've made this sales page, it converts at 5%. Hey, Google, here's my credit card. Hey, Facebook, here's my credit card. Max it out, all right, because I know what my conversion rate is. It doesn't work like that. So always bear in mind that there is really no such thing as, good copy or bad copy. There kind of is, but really what it comes down to is relevant copy, okay? Is this message relevant for the people that I'm showing it to? And that really is a decision and an answer that comes from understanding who you're talking to before you try and talk to them, which goes back to that first principle of effective communication: seek first to understand and then to be understood. Okay, so who reads your copy is the major factor in whether it converts or not. And copywriting and marketing is about finding your tribe. Cool? The sales success breakdown, okay, also very controversial. It doesn't get talked about a lot. One of the guys who really does tell it like it is, he can maybe be a little bit cynical at times, but it's a guy called Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy says that the sales success breakdown goes like this: 40% of your success will come from your traffic. That is, who are you talking to? Who is your target market? The next 40% of your success will come down to your offer. What are you offering them? You know, how much does it cost? Is it actually in line with what they want? And the final 20% is, of course, the copy, and that is how. How are you positioning it and how are you presenting it? Now, of course, this isn't to say that the copy, you know, is not important, but it does represent about 20% of your total success in actually running a business. Okay, so always understand this, that it's about what you offer, it's about who you offer it to. Nail those things down, get that message to market match, and then the copywriting will come very easily when you understand your market. For example, okay, let's think about it this way. I'll give you some examples from Mindvalley. We get our traffic from Google, from Facebook, from email, and from SEO. Now think about that. We show our messaging, we show our ads, we show our sales pages and landing pages to people that are already looking for it or already interested in what we have to say. A huge amount of our traffic comes from Google, where people will click on things like, you know, creative visualization or, you know, understanding meditation and all these kinds of keywords. And of course, when they click on it, we show them and say, hey, are you interested in meditation? Yes, of course you are, because you clicked on an ad and you were searching in Google for advice about meditation. And we lead them into our products, so it doesn't really feel like, you know, selling or being pushed. We're intercepting that demand and really helping people find what it is they're looking for. We also provide a lot of value first, which makes the sale easy, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, cool. How do you find your customer? All right, so you know how we do it. How do you find your customer? Well, think about what books they read. Okay, if you were your customer, what books would you be reading? What books would you be buying? If you look into it with Facebook, you can target people based on this, based on the books that they read and the books that they like. What websites are they visiting? Of course, with Google, if you know where your customers are, you can choose to advertise on specific websites. You can contact those website owners. You can do deals with them and all these kinds of things. What do they like on Facebook? Which fan pages? Again, if you know where they are on Facebook, which fan pages they like, you can see what they're talking about, and you can bring them back to your website by creating a message that appeals to them. What keywords are they typing into Google? Obviously, Google search, SEO, AdWords. You can buy placements for people that are literally looking for what it is you're already searching, and you will find that these are the people that are actually going to buy. You don't need to try so hard to convince them to need what it is you're providing. And lastly, whose ecosystem are they already in? Who already sells something in your market that you think, you know, who has access to the customers that you need? Who is providing something where your product or service is complementary to that, so that potentially you could do a joint venture deal and say, hey, I've got this awesome product. I know it's super relevant to your tribe, to your customers. Beg your pardon, because you've got people who are interested in online marketing or in meditation, and I've got this awesome product that'll help people really visualize something when they're deep in meditation, and you can put that together. But it all comes down to finding your customers where they are, and then crafting a message based on the headspace that they're currently in. Cool. Okay, so I hope I've hammered that one down, because I can assure you, in terms of the 80-20 of copywriting, all the good copywriters here, and we're all pretty good, is we spend 80% of our time understanding the customer and 20% of the time writing the actual copy. Okay, and that's why it gets way easier over time, which is great, because you really get a feel for and you understand your customer really well. So at this point, at stage 3 of the process, the actual presentation, so you know who your customer is, you understand them, and you have deep empathy with their aspirations, with their desires and their fears. You know where they are and how to reach them, and you know what they're searching for and who they're currently listening to. What comes next? Now is when you can finally begin talking, when you can finally begin crafting your sales presentation. And as I mentioned, there's a 12-step foolproof sales letter template that's very, very similar to what we use, and certainly I've been using for years, which is basically foolproof. It was created by a guy called David Frey, who is a very well-respected marketer as well. And I will pull it up now and take you through it. We have a link to it here as well, which you can go to and download the PDF. Cool, so here it is. Doesn't look particularly pretty, but I can assure you it is extremely effective. So the 12-step foolproof sales letter template. And here are the 12 steps right here, okay? So the first step is to get attention. That means, as you'll notice, you can go to any of our websites to have an example of this. You'll see that we always start with a headline. The purpose of the headline and the pre-headline is to get attention and to call out to the person that this is relevant to. Next, you want to identify the problem. So let's use, for example, one of the projects I'm working on now, which is consciousness engineering, okay? So consciousness engineering is for people who feel that the conventional education system, hasn't taught them everything they need to know about being a, being a human, being extraordinary, being good at the different areas of life that actually matter. So we start with, and we've tested these headlines, and we continue to test them, identifying the problem. So one of the headlines we run was, the modern education system teaches you how to have a career, but it doesn't teach you the skills to be an extraordinary person. And we're going to provide the solution. With consciousness engineering, what we're doing is filling in the gaps in your education system so that we can, so that you can be a truly extraordinary person in all the areas of life that the conventional school system fails to provide for you. And then, of course, we present our credentials. We say, this program is by Vishen Lakhiani. He's founded a company that's worth over $100 million. He's published over 200 authors. We're interviewing billionaires, biohackers, best-selling authors, and getting them to share their most powerful systems and models for upgrading yourself. So obviously, if you're in self-improvement and personal improvement, you're looking pretty good so far. And we talk about the benefits. We say, when you do this, you're going to experience dramatic increases in your ability to be a better entrepreneur, to be a better parent. You're going to be more fulfilled. You're going to be able to be more calm, and all the various other benefits. Then, of course, we talk about the social proof. We talk about the people that have already used the program and have already had success with it. People talking about how it's transformed their life, how they've managed to get raises, have better relationships, feel more alive, and various other benefits, whatever testimonials you have. At this point, you make your offer. So you say, cool. Well, you don't need to say exactly cool, but you can say, you make your offer. Say, awesome. So I hope you understand how powerful this is. We want to get this out to as many people as we can. So what I'd like to do is offer you this program to try it out for just $1. Now, we may not be running this. Next, we can inject some scarcity. Look, this is a test. We may not be running this at $1 forever, which is true. We do test these things. But we can guarantee you that if you don't like it, you can cancel any time within the first 30 days. So take action now. Remember, we can give a warning now. Remember, at worst, all you have to lose here by taking action is $1, and you can cancel. Just that's what it costs to try this out. But the warning, we can say, if you don't take advantage of this, think about what you won't have. Think about the benefits that you'll miss out on, and then you can, of course, close with a reminder, which basically just says, P.S. This is a no-brainer decision. Take action now. So those are basically the 12 steps. So once you understand your customer, you can just run through these and just basically fill in the blanks. Now, of course, there is an element of practice that comes with this, and you may want to even hire a copywriter if you're not comfortable with it. But I can assure you this much: if you give any copywriter answers to those questions that we were talking about before, whether you want to write it yourself or whether you want to hire someone else to do it, if you do the work and really understand your customer, you're going to make the writer's job very easy. And to be honest with you, I think pretty much anyone could craft a really effective sales presentation using these 12 steps alone. Now, this is an awesome PDF by David Frey. I'd highly recommend you check it out. They've got tons of examples, and you can pull this up and have a look at some of your favorite sales pages and see how all of these various triggers, if you will, all these elements are hit. But really, this is the science of conversion. This is the mental and psychological process you need to run people through for them to, first of all, get attention, understand that they need something, provide what that solution is, present why you're the person that can solve it, show them how it'll benefit them, give them a guarantee and give them security, knowing that this has helped other people before. make them an offer so they can decide how valuable this is and how much they're willing to spend on it. Give them a reason to take action now. Again, assure them with confidence that this is going to help them. Get them to take action and ask for the sale to really demonstrate that, now is the time to take action, and let them understand, what they stand to lose by not taking action and what they stand to gain by taking action. And if you do that in this order, you're going to put together a very effective sales presentation. Cool. So Jason will get you out this link, or you can just Google David Frey's 12-step foolproof sales letter template. You'd be surprised how many very large marketing companies and very large direct response companies use this exact same template. I've bought some very expensive products where they've told me, I'm going to tell you my secret formula for writing sales copy, and they've also just linked to this. So again and again and again, this thing keeps popping up. It's one of those old gems that is timeless in its effectiveness of that sort of paradigm of selling. So hope you find that useful, and I'm looking forward to any questions you guys have about this training. So with that covered, all right, with understanding now, the 3 steps that make it very easy to make an effective presentation, understanding who your customer is and what they really want, understanding where they are, where they hang out, and then next going into pretty much just filling in the blanks and inserting the information in a logical way so they can make a buying decision. We talk about the soul of conversion. Okay, so we started with the science of conversion, but what about the soul of conversion? Well, Simon Sinek, a very famous author now and TED speaker, said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Okay, and this is a really powerful and important thing to understand, not just for when you're selling one-time product, but when you're actually in business. Okay, so I know a lot of the people watching this, like myself, weren't just copywriters, we're copywriter entrepreneurs. We're people who are actually in business for ourselves. And, over time, you'll find that, the customers that will stick with you and the thing that will make your business succeed isn't just you telling people what it'll do for them, but telling people why you're actually doing what you're doing. People want to understand that, to understand your motivations, and to find someone that genuinely cares about what they're doing. So how do you do this? This is really where Jason is really shook things up for me, because Jason gave a presentation called Why Sales is the Greatest Expression of Love. And what Jason said was that to really succeed in sales and to have selling be something where it doesn't drain you, it doesn't make you feel dirty, it doesn't make you feel as though you're taking from someone, and doesn't suck energy out of you, selling needs to be a process where you love yourself, you love your product, and you love your customer. And that means that you're speaking the way that you want to speak. You're not playing things down. You're not appealing to the worst parts of people. You're not selling, some spammy weight loss pills or, miracle pharmaceutical cures. You're selling something that you believe in. You're doing it in a way that is ethical for you. And you love what you're selling. You genuinely believe that this is what your customer needs. You believe that it's the best thing you can possibly provide for your customer. And that's because you love them. You want them to succeed. So for me, I was pretty successful in the online marketing niche, but I didn't launch a lot of products because I only wanted to launch stuff that, I really liked. And it was the case that I was, I had to love my product and I had to say things the way I wanted to say it. But sometimes, you can fall down this trap of selling things in a way that says, okay, well, this is really easy. This is a push button solution. And yes, online marketing can be a lot easier than a lot of other jobs, but ultimately it's not, it's not that completely push button that anyone can just, open the Google traffic firestorm and, make money just by clicking a few buttons. So you have to love and respect the intelligence of your customer. Otherwise, you will just simply feel like crap every time you sell. And ultimately, that will drive you into bankruptcy. So, a lot of people just get sick of the crap. But the truth is that you choose your customer, you choose your product, and you choose how you present yourself. And it's not just about being ethical for the sake of other people. Even if you are self-interested, this is better for your business. Your business will thrive and you'll succeed when you love yourself, you love your product, and you love your customer. And I think if you haven't watched it yet, watch Jason's talk because it's absolutely phenomenal. And this comes through in your words and your actions, and it ultimately separates the winning businesses from the losing businesses. So the tips on how to do this, on how to really add soul to your copy and add a sense of personality is don't be afraid to speak in your own voice, and of course use your own language. Obviously speak to your customer as well, use their language, but be authentic, be yourself. I'm surprised at how well it works, and why I was so magnetically attracted to Mindvalley, because and Vishen, as a salesperson, is phenomenal, and has a huge, literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of raving fans, because he speaks his mind. He says the truth, even if it's not popular, and people respect that. So it works surprisingly well. So don't be afraid to be authentic. I know there can be a lot of advice that will tell people to, play down to the worst parts of your customers' behavior, but and sell based on fear and pride. They're interesting triggers. They can be used, but you really have to believe in what you're doing, okay? And the reason for this is that traditional copywriting, we only look at things like conversion rate, but conversion rate is actually a one-dimensional metric. It only measures the behavior of the prospect in that particular moment, all right? But how do you create longevity? How do you create a long-term successful business? How do you create loyal customers and people that will stick with you for life? The truth is, actually, we have pretty advanced business analytics here, and we see that Mindvalley gets a huge portion of its revenues from customers that have been in our ecosystem for months or even years. Okay, so they're not people who are just clicking and seeing us for the first time and buying. This company's been around for a very long time in the online space, and it succeeds now because we've become a part of their lives and they're now raving fans. Okay, so ask yourself these questions. How can I say things and do things, and how can I operate from a place where I want to do this forever, not where I want to see my customers as little as possible? The way to do this is to not just optimize your sales letters for conversion. You need to think about the long-term effect of your sales messaging. For example, all right, Mindvalley is obviously a company that publishes a lot of meditation stuff. And sometimes we'll offer products that may be an alternative to meditation in a sense. But as a sales copywriter, I'm not exactly going to write something like the end of meditation, or, is meditation no longer effective, or something like that. Because yes, I can guarantee you I'd get a very high open rate from that email. I'd get a very high click-through rate from those ads. But what then, right? What happens after the first sale? I mean, do we really believe that? Is that something we're really gonna say? Of course not. We need to optimize not just for the one-time sale, but optimizing for loyalty and longevity of your business and your customers, okay? And the way you do that is, again, by seeking to understand them and being their trusted advisor, and continuously seeking to solve their problems and enrich their lives. And another sort of element that's really hard to measure, but is so important, is preeminence, okay? What your prospects know about you before you offer them something. Do they already trust you? Have you already demonstrated expertise and shown that you're one of the good guys? What always strikes me as really interesting is whenever we're designing sales funnels with Vishen, he is so adamant that the start of the sales funnels in particular, that before we start selling, and really emailing about the product, that we offer value, that we provide something value regardless of whether they've bought or not. I mean, our customer support team has been known to provide customer support for people even if they bought someone else's product. We're really in the business of treating people well and demonstrating that we're the good guys, because that's what this company was founded on. I think that's ultimately why it is succeeding so much and is going to succeed to truly amazing levels. And this is really hard to measure, but it is ultimately more important than anything you can do in the short term. Cool. So we're pretty much running out of time. So that is a wrap conveniently as well. And so in a nutshell, I'm happy to talk about this more if there's demand for it. I know Jason's going to be doing a lot of this stuff more in the future with webinars and online marketing weekly. But it comes down to, firstly, understand your customer deeply. Take the time to really understand them, because you don't get the luxury of talking to them. So you're going to need to understand them when you're staring at that blank page and writing your sales copy. Secondly, no matter how good your copy is, if you show it to people that simply don't care, you're not going to get a conversion rate. So know who your customer is, understand them, and know where they are. What keywords they're using, what fan pages they're liking, how can you access them, who already has access to them. Find your customers and go after them. Next, craft a sales message using the framework. Get their attention, identify the problem, provide the solution, give them a good offer, and that is the first step in cultivating this customer journey. And I can assure you, if you do those first two steps, your sales messaging will come through very easily. And then, of course, don't stop putting it in front of as many interested people as you can. Find your tribe, continuously expand in that direction, and don't get too caught up in the details of conversion hacking. Understand that it's just important, if not more important, to increase your traffic. And of course, nurture the long-term relationship. Cool. So that is the end of the presentation, and I believe we'll be going to Q&A now. Is that right, Jason?
Whew. Amazing. Gavin, thank you so much. That presentation is so good. I always get to see the presentations even beforehand, and then I get to listen to them, and I get so much even more insights to just hear you do it live on the call. And I particularly love this presentation, and I love the way Gavin presents it, because he came from a place where he had to kind of evolve into his own concepts to be able to teach this, because he came from that place that did the online marketing stuff. And like, I've seen you from when you started at Mindvalley, and then how you had that shift, and how your productivity and everything you're doing is amazing. So thanks again for sharing all of that, Gavin. That was super awesome.
My pleasure, man. Anytime.
Actually, you gotta tell you, Gavin, to go ahead and stop your screen share real quick.
Sure.
Guys, if you were on this call, it's really amazing. This call was all about copywriting, but if you think about it, when it comes to copywriting, there's just Google copywriting. I think Copyblogger is a great place. There's so many places you can find inspiration on how to exactly write the copy. But what we really wanted to share with you guys is that second part. Like, for me, the second part, the soul of copywriting, is really what's missing out there.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Jason. I mean, it's at the end of the day, they're just words, right? They're words, and it's kind of strange if you think about it. But words are only as good as their meaning, and the meaning can only be as good as not just your intention, but the headspace that the person is already in, and their understanding of those words. So getting closer to their language and getting closer to what's meaningful to them is the core of the issue, core of the challenge. So.
Yeah. So what I want to do is give an opportunity for people to ask the question. So as you know, Gavin, people have like that 15 seconds to 4-minute delay. And while I'm addressing you, just bring down your laptop just a few notches so it gets off your webinar cam there. Just tilt back your screen a bit. That being said, guys, go ahead and send in some questions. I see we already have a couple. If you guys use the Q&A function, we'll address them as quickly as possible. And one thing that I did do while you were speaking, Gavin, is I did redirect them to that place so they can get that sheet with the copywriting 12-step. And I've actually put the conscious engineering. We're having that dollar trial happening. As you're running through the framework, I'm like, if any of you are interested in conscious engineering, it really is an amazing program. Like, it's everyone at Mindvalley here actually goes through it, and there's a ton of interviews that are great about it. So I have actually no shame to present you that offer, because it's truly amazing. The fact that you can do 30 days for $1 is very much of a quick decision-making thing. It's $29 a month after that, and you just get an inventory of calls coming in. So I do want to take the opportunity to plug that product, because it is top-notch.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for Q&A?
Absolutely.
All right. We got a question from Michelle.
Cool.
Is it harder for Mindvalley to gain a customer that is on the verge of shifting into a spiritual consciousness, or one that is already there?
Wow, that's a great question. Sorry, could you repeat? Is it harder for Mindvalley to gain a customer that is shifting into a spiritual consciousness, or one that's already there?
Yeah, I feel like this question would be very much aligned to the product tip, the market sophistication, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I mean, it's really interesting. We don't even just think about getting customers. We think about sort of expanding awareness and expanding ideas. So, for someone that's shifting into that verge of thinking, I suppose it would depend on the particular product that we're offering at that time that would make them become a customer. So what we're launching very soon, and Vision's extremely excited about it, we're all extremely excited about it, is this Becoming Limitless program, which is a very spiritual that we're here for them, and that we've got stuff so that whenever they're ready, Mindvalley is ready to help them get to that next level of spirituality or of conscious evolution.
Yeah, and if I put it in a very direct way, Michelle, if someone's already at the spiritual consciousness, and then it becomes a very direct market to message match, right? Like, if it's someone that's like, I am seeking, like, the question you're asking is it easier to sell to somebody who's saying, I am looking for a product on spiritual growth, as opposed to someone saying, there's something missing in my life right now, and I'm not too sure what I could do to solve this. And that's very different market maturity levels, right, Gav?
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, we want to help all of those people. And so this is why, as I said, we'll do different masterclasses and we'll do different trainings, not based on what we know is going to sell the most, but based on helping different people at different stages in their spiritual and conscious evolution. So when I first started, we obviously published a guy called Ken Wilber, and that course is still on Mind Valley Academy. And
I
this
remember
guy
this.
so deep into spirituality. I remember when I first started, I didn't even understand what the emails were saying. I mean, I get it now, months into it. I understand now how phenomenal this stuff was, and I have so much respect for this company for putting something so profound out there. But yeah, we try and offer things to different people in different stages to help them get to where they want to go, and that's just what we do.
Yeah, and that's a luxury we have as we grown as a company, and we're very purpose centered, and it's crazy, Gavin. You read my mind, because Ken Wilber is the one that I thought about, which wasn't the biggest revenue generating product, but it was like the most impactful product. Like, I went through the chapters there, and it was literally just like the concepts just make you really think about what is reality, and it was the best spiritual teachings I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would say, Michelle, if you are just starting out and what you are offering is something that's very much allowing people to, to get into that spiritual consciousness, I don't understand what is your product, but if someone's already looking for your product, that is your low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But as you scale, there's only a limited amount of people that are at that stage, so you'll start going for people that might be on the tipping point. And then at the same time, it's all aligned to what is your goal and mission. And if it is to make the world a better place, and your product takes people there.
Yeah. Well, it's a question, Michelle, of who do you want to serve? Like, instead of what's easy, like who is it do you want to serve? Do you want to serve the person that has already evolved and maybe wants to find a tribe that they can speak to these things, speak about this? We can have a program for that. You can provide something for that. Do you want to, that's, I think, a really good resource for you, Michelle, is to check out the levels of market sophistication. It's a post on the Mind Valley Insights blog. I think maybe Jason can bring it up. And I found it completely, it's a game changer for really understanding how different people within a market can have different requirements and how to create your messaging for that. So if you look at that, I think that'll really help you gain some clarity on that question.
I'll make sure to post it on the group at the end there. I'll just take a quick note of that. Market sophistication. Let's go to this next question. People are asking really good questions here. Cool. This one comes from Stanley. How do you measure if your copywriting is effective or not? Example, your current sales landing page is converting some sales, but you may want to increase more sale. Is there any way to measure?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of ways to measure. So we use some software called Visual Website Optimizer, where we'll change different elements on the page. We'll maybe run a different headline, and we'll see what it's converting at. So, for example, as a copywriter, sometimes we'll come up with a great headline. Sometimes we'll come up with 2 or 3, and you have an idea. You think they're all good, but you want to test a couple of them. Well, that's okay. You can run different tests, and you can send your traffic to your page, and you can have it, we call it an A/B split test, so that if you've got 2 headline variations, it'll start showing the pages one by one, different pages to different people, splitting the traffic up 50-50, and then you can measure which has a higher conversion rate. So that's one way to sort of refine your messaging over time and get it to a place where you think you're really speaking to people how they need to be spoken to. Hope that answers the question.
Well, I think it touches on it. I'm going to reframe it. And this is actually a question I'd love to just talk to you about it with, Gavin, is that, like, if we're sending our email list to a landing page, people that are already fans of Mind Valley, and we're about to do a masterclass, we're getting like 50+ conversion rates.
Yes.
And then what happens, like, this was a part of your presentation, is like not all traffic converts the same. So I think what Stanley, from that statement, what he's had as an issue is that, okay, so what should be my conversion rate? At what point should I say this is good?
Right.
Or what would be to what traffic source or to what level of conversion should you be saying, I think I'm doing something wrong because I'm below X?
Gotcha. Wow, that's a very interesting question, and it goes into some deeper stuff. But ultimately, Stanley, it comes down to a question of economics, I suppose. So if you're buying traffic and say your sales page is converting, is it profitable? Like, can you sustain it? There will be completely different conversion rates for all sorts of products. It really does vary on a lot of different things. But the number one question to ask is this sustainable? Can I continually send traffic to this? So there isn't really a single conversion rate for each product. Would you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I would agree, and I want to bring something that's maybe a bit more realist because it's so. I love the presentation when you talk about how conversion rate is just a vanity metric.
Yeah,
Because, like I said, when Mindvalley sends millions of emails to people to a landing page, which is geared towards people that know exactly about Mindvalley and know what to expect,
yeah,
yeah, we're hitting 60%
yeah,
conversion rate sometimes. But if I take an example, I help my family. My family has a swimming pool business, and I set up all their online marketing,
yeah.
which is fun because, well, Gary Vaynerchuk, not Gary Vaynerchuk. There's another guy in the swimming pool industry in a different
Oh
town
yeah,
that does it,
nice,
but in my case, like nobody does it. So I just come in and it's like a wide open field.
nice.
So it's really fun.
Yeah,
That being said, my conversion rate is like 10% on a
yeah,
quote.
yep.
And
It's fine.
so for me, it's fine
Does it
because
work for you? Yep.
it works. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You'll find that different traffic sources will have sometimes wildly different conversion rates. So from an email blast to maybe a very targeted list, you maybe get 50 to 75% people opting into your list. On a landing page of Facebook, you may get 10 to 25% off completely cold traffic. So yeah, it comes down to, can you sustain it? Can you sustain that traffic? And is that good for that particular traffic source? And ultimately, it just comes down to expanding and growing your tribe and really focusing on that long-term customer behavior and that long-term customer value. Because, the truth is a lot of companies will make a loss when they first sell. It's not that they're making all of their money at the start. They may even break even. If you break even on your first customer, then that's fine, because if you continually build that relationship up, that will pay itself back off over time. So starting with those principles and not getting too focused on the granular stuff, and just sort of playing to these larger principles of serving as many people as you can, understanding their needs, and really doing that, and you should be pretty good. Just keep your cash flow positive, and everything's okay.
Unless you have investor money and then you're just focused on scaling, then just dump all that money.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. I want to open up on this topic because sometimes we have one of our people that'll be running Facebook ads, right? And then it's great because if you're very junior at marketing and sales, and there are some people at Mindvalley that come from a more junior background.
Yeah.
And when one of our traffic guys will be like, "Hey guys, we ran some ads, spent a couple thousands, and we got 800% ROI."
Yeah.
And if you're very junior at marketing, you'll be like celebrating, saying like, "Oh, that's great." But what's interesting is if you're in a business of just making money, pocketing it, living a lifestyle business, yeah, that's fine. But when you're focused on growth, your metrics shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be celebrating an 800% return on investment.
Yeah.
You should actually be sad that you spend so much more.
Yeah.
And because your conversion rate will also decrease the more of the traffic source you bring to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really interesting point Jason makes. It's not just about your return on investment. It's about the total scale of your business, right? How many people are you bringing through, and all this kind of thing. So these are really good questions. It's great to see. It comes down to the economics of your sales funnel.
True that. So Gavin, I'm going to pause it here because I'm looking at the time and I'm kind of having a lot of fun just talking with you right now, but I do want to conclude the call. So what I want to announce to everybody is huge thank you for joining the call. I hope you guys had a ton of value out of this. We're going to answer a few more of the questions that are on the side, but I do want to give an opportunity. It is an hour-long webinar. So what I want to announce is we are having a webinar tonight, 12 hours from now, or 11 now, it's been an hour, which was scheduled to be with Carl Harvey. Now, Carl actually, last I checked, was actually quite sick, so I don't think he'll be able to make it. But rest not, or fear not, I will not be resting. I'm going to be putting together an amazing presentation for you guys. So if you have any kind of entertainment, having a conversation with me, I'll be putting together a nice presentation for you guys, explaining the model behind the business that we've created under the Big Life.
Yeah, it's a perfect one to talk about because the Big Life is in many ways a business that really focuses on long-term, customer value. I think it's a really good segue from this as well to talk about that. How Carl's not someone who's all about the numbers. He's all about the providing of the value, and the numbers start to make a lot of sense when you operate from that position. So yeah, that'll be really cool. to talk about
Yes,
that.
so super looking forward to that. So guys, you'll get your reminders. The replays of this presentation is going to be sent out in about 12 hours. I hope you guys had a ton of time. Go to the Facebook group. I'm going to make sure to redirect everyone after we answer the last questions, and you guys will be able to keep the conversation going there. If you had any interest in conscious engineering, absolutely, I'm pitching it to you. It's available for $1, 30 days, and $29 after that. And I swear it'll be the smartest thing. Like, cancel your Netflix, join conscious engineering. You're going to get so much more out of that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So thank you so much for being on the call. So Gavin, let's move to another question, because every time we answer a question, we kind of go into a good conversation.
Yeah, I'd love to. Happy to do it.
Yolande asks, does Mindvalley plan to offer services, or is it just going to continue to offer education? I.e., can someone hire a consultant to actually help me implement this stuff?
Wow.
That's not much of a question for Gavin. Although I have a feeling, Gavin, that someone might want your services. But fact is, Gavin is fully booked, because if he has any capacity, I will take him to write copy on Mindvalley Insights.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But that being said, guys, if you guys are looking for, what would you say, Gavin, are some of the best, like, I mean, there's Zentrepreneur, guys. If you want, I'm going to pop that one up. So I'm going to take away conscious engineering for a sec. We have Zentrepreneur. So if you guys aren't familiar with Zentrepreneur, let me throw it up for a sec. I actually started Zentrepreneur when I joined Mindvalley. And it was one of the first products I created.
The short answer to the question, I guess, is that right now, as Jason said, we're in a very, very aggressive and very strong growth phase. Things are going really well at Mindvalley. I think the business has never been in better shape, and we're fully. I'd love to help you out, but we're fully utilized on. We use the word maximize. We don't say stressed out or overwhelmed here. We say we're maximized, and I'm most certainly maximized. So, but I appreciate the gesture, but honestly, give it a shot yourself. See how you go. Follow it around. Take the time to understand your customer, and just write something out and see how you go. Whether you end up hiring a copywriter or finding someone else to help you out, regardless, doing that groundwork is going to give you immense clarity into your business. And even if you give that to a mediocre copywriter, they'll do a better job, because a lot of the time they'll be maybe not as ready to do that research.
Best sources. Yeah, just in their face. No, where would you say is some of the places people could go possibly to source independent copywriter, freelance copywriters that are of above average quality?
I actually have no idea. When I started my business, I had no cash, so I'd learn everything myself. I guess a blessing in disguise. But I'm not sure, and I don't want to lead anyone in the wrong sort of space. But maybe in Zentrepreneur, maybe in the tribe, there are some people who could like offer their services. I think that's. Would you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, one of the places I would go, like, the only things I can think of is like Cult of Copy. It's a Facebook group. There's a ton of guys in there. Yeah. Also, Pro Blogger. If you're looking for someone to create content, we're actually going to have a Mindvalley Insights post coming up in a few weeks about that, on how we completely automated our content SEO strategy using external writers that we monitor, and the whole strategy is going to be shared with everyone in a couple of weeks. So, but what I would say to Yolande is be very careful when you're throwing out that question out there in the world. And the reason I say that is exactly what I was telling you about that seminar I went to. Targeted me with an ad saying, hey, are you looking to have everything done for you? Don't want to hire a copywriter, don't want to run ads, don't want to do anything. Do you just want to sit down at home, have checks of hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in? This event, and then when you get there, all they're doing is testimonials. And to be honest, like, I was assessing the presentation, the sales, and actually the guy was maybe like a 7 out of 10. I almost felt like telling the guy, like, oh, hold up, I'm gonna let you finish. Let me show you how to really pitch this. Because man, like, honestly, I didn't stay for the rest of the pitch, but let me run this on you, Gavin, because I actually I love selling, but don't buy this, guys. But this was the pitch, right? It was like, guys, imagine if you could stay at home and you'd have a system all done for you, where we have telephone salesperson that all you need to do is just drive traffic. We'll show you how to run the ads. All you do is run traffic to this single page where we take care of everything from there. For every person who puts their name and email, you'll make commissions. We have sales teams that are going to close them. We're going to bring them to a live event. Now, you might think something like this might cost you tens of thousands of dollars, because the fact is, you apply this for 6 months. Our people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting at home, quitting their job after their retirement, and they're making bank. They're living the lifestyle. I've been parachuting parachuting out of airplane. Here's a picture of me parachuting. That being said, you're not going to pay $10,000. We're going to be selling it for $1,000. But if you're thinking of running to the back right now and buy it, hold up. There's more. Think you can't do this yourself?
Take my money.
Yeah, but then at the end,
No,
they basically say it's $500 and tell you what, if you don't get all the results that you think that you would expect out of this 3-day training, we'll give you double your money back. So that means you come for the 3 days, you tell us you can't implement this system, you can't have success, double your money back guaranteed. Now everybody run to the back of the room, and we're even going to have a success coach that's going to take you through a training up to the event, so to make sure you're already crushing it by the time you're there. Who's with us? Let's make all money, everybody succeeds. So in essence, you're just driving more people into the room that you're sitting in right now to listen to exactly what you listen to run to the back of the room and buy what you just bought. It makes money. Hey,
it makes money, but
oh my God, no.
You're
So Yalan, the reason I share this story is because if you're coming from that, like, hey, I kind of want to do it, but I don't want to do it, there's going to be plenty of people who are just looking for you. They've studied your avatar better than any other company out there. Just like how Gavin was telling you the framework, that framework can be applied to very evil deeds.
Yes, it most definitely can.
So anyway, sorry, I went on a little rant there.
No, that was an awesome sales pitch. But I mean, this is the thing. It's like, if you really don't, as you say, Jason, if you really don't believe in what you're doing, if you're not respecting your customer, every sale you make is.
Man. Yeah, it just takes it. There's an exchange of energy, and it's usually equal. And if you just took more of that from that person than you gave in value, it's going to eat up your emotion, and it'll throw you into a depression. That's why a lot of these guys, they're all like super miserable, even with millions of dollars, right?
Yeah, it's surprising, but true.
All right, last question. This one's from Robert, which is Vision's original Bloodhound model video still available? The one where he used to make $920,000 in 18 months. I can't seem to find it online. No, it is not, Robert. Yeah. We took it down. We took it down because the model, as solid as it is, Vision did it when he was creating a persona, which I think was called Michael something. I forget. But Vision said, wanted to take it down because although it was a great strategy, he just didn't feel it was authentic. And so he did this presentation at an internet marketing conference, and he just himself felt that it wasn't the authentic and right thing to do is to create yourself a persona to speak to an avatar, to expose them to various products. But if you are interested, Robert, in the Bloodhound model, come to tomorrow, or sorry, it's not tomorrow for you guys. It's going to be in 11 hours. I'm going to give you guys a presentation on Bloodhound Model 2.0, which is taking the concepts of the Bloodhound model and just bringing that authenticity, value giving, which is going to be accelerating any business of people that apply this model 20-fold. And the beauty of it is that it's not even competitive. It's not like it's not a zero-sum game. The more people who operate in that way, the better it improves the whole industry. So I'm going to be getting up very early this morning to put together some slides for you guys. So we're going to end the call, I think, on that.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, incidentally, the Bloodhound model is effectively building a list, cultivating your relationship with that list, and continuously trying to serve them and to solve their problems and solutions, give them solutions. So the Bloodhound model 2.0, which Jason's going to be talking about, is just that, but doing it from an even more empowered position, an even more authentic space. And actually, when Carl did it, it worked even better. So, than the old one. So I think, what Jason's going to be talking about is going to be way better than the old Bloodhound model video. So
yeah, because the headline on that one's going to be how we got it to 1 million plus in under a year.
Yeah. So there you go. Like I said, works for money and works for happiness. So
it's amazing to see today that the giving value to clients and non-clients is actually proven as a business model and is very profitable.
Yeah,
it's a great thing, So let's call it off there. Any other questions, guys? I'm going to redirect you to the Facebook group. We kind of went a little overboard, but Gavin, thank you so much for your framework. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys had a ton of value out of this.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
And if you have more questions, we're not going to keep going. Just put them on the Facebook group and we'll keep the interaction there. And I'm going to redirect you all right now. So thanks again, and I will see you guys in 11 hours.